Hello and welcome. This is Beverly Fells Jones. I want to thank you for being here today, wherever you are and whatever time you are listening to this show. I think you're going to enjoy today's show because I have a special guest. As you know, I am reading different stories from the book Manifestations, True Stories of Bringing the Imagined into Reality. And today I have with me Dr. Vicki L. High. She's a best-selling author, founder of Heart to Heart Healing, Reiki master, teacher, life coach, counselor, speaker, and former mayor. Boy, whew, she got a long list of things that she's done. But I want you to know that she is a pioneer in spiritual healing, boldly journeying into new frontiers of healing, love, empowerment, and spiritual insights. She shares wisdom through direct experience, and her gifts empower her to connect ideas and concepts and create patterns of life and healing. She lives through her heart. Honestly, she does, honoring each person as an aspect of God's source. And let me tell you, this lady has been a guest on the Oprah Winfrey Show. Woohoo! I'm just going to rub shoulders with her. She's been on radio shows and she served as a keynote speaker. And she is one of the amazing authors in this book, Manifestations, True Stories of Bringing the Imagined into Reality. So let's get started and let's interview Dr. Vicki L.
Well,
High.
hello everybody again. So I am here with Dr. Vicki L. High, as I've told you about in the intro, and we've been having a conversation before I brought her on, and we've been getting to know each other. We found out that we used to be neighbors, like close to each other in the same town. But that's the thing about being in a town where there's a lot of people. I sometimes I watch some of the shows on TV. Um, One is The Good Witch, and she lives in this small town, and everybody knows each other. Everybody sees the mayor, and they have these conversations. But we here, and you, wherever you are, probably in a town that is not like that. It's huge, and you may not even know your next door neighbor. Thankfully, I've met my immediate neighbors, but I don't know the rest of the people here. And that's going to be kind of about what we're talking about today with Vicki. Vicki, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's great to be here. Thanks for having me. What a
Oh,
wonderful day to spend time with you.
well, thank you. Well, same with you. Well, it's cold, you know that. It's 40 some degrees. I had to go out earlier this morning, but I tell you, as I was reading your story, I had to laugh. I mean, it was like, oh yeah, I've been there, done that. Oh, okay. Yeah. So Vicky talks about manifest, then voila. All right, because I've been telling you all that you are a powerful creator. You are a magnificent manifester, and you manifest every single day, all day long. You just don't recognize it. And so the book, let me put it up here again. The book, Manifesting Manifestations, the True Story of Bringing the Imagined into Reality. The reason I love this so much is that I can share with you all of these amazing stories of how these people, and I say these people, but the authors in this book are showing you how you are a magnificent manifester on your own. And as I've taught you before, you have to have examples, and you start out really small and you start recognizing, oh yeah, I brought that into my life. But as you start reading these stories, you go, this is real. This really happens. And that's what I want you to understand, because if you don't understand that this really happens, you will never connect and be able to manifest the things in your life deliberately. not accidentally because we do it all the time, but deliberately. What do you say about that, Vicki?
I think that's really true. And I also think that this particular book allows us to look at our own personal power and own it. Sometimes we go unconscious. And like you said, we're still manifesting, whether it's consciously or unconsciously. And that's what I came to realization, because I love to manifest. But I didn't realize I was manifesting some things unconsciously that I needed to be aware of.
So tell me, how did you first begin to realize or learn about being able to truly manifest in your life? Did you have control over your life?
Well, I have had a checkered past as far as my different things, my different paths of learning. I love learning. I've been learning my whole entire life. And so I noticed that on your bio, you have the one command that you use. And I would talk to people with the one command, and I would talk to people with the law of attraction. And I would hear people say, well, I'm not successful at those things. I've brought those things. I've done what I needed to do, but they're not here. And so I started to study energy patterns, and find out if you're not in alignment, you think about it, you intend that it's here, and then you are one with that, whatever that wish and the energy you put to it, and then it's there. So it's like a really consistent formula for manifestation, but it works. It doesn't have any gauge of whether that's a good or bad manifestation. It just happens if you're doing that. If there's a doubt or a misalignment in any of that, then the manifestation is not going to be exactly what you had hoped.
Yes. And while you were saying that, I thought about the fact, now I've told my audience I'm back in college taking pastry arts. And last night we had a test, and we made, what did we make last night? We made chicken pot pie. It was awesome. It was a recipe I hadn't done. But as I got in my driveway last night, I realized I left my course book that's over $100, school of things, in the locker at the school. Yes. And final midterms are Monday. So I went panic, right? It's like, what if somebody takes my book? You know how you go. What if somebody takes my book? What if, okay, did the janitor do it? But you got to get there early in the morning. And I got really nervous. And then I went, angels take care of my book, protect it. I don't have anything to worry about. So when you start talking about that manifestation thing and being in alignment energy-wise, I could have gone off on the deep end like you talk about in your story. And then I got there and the book isn't there and somebody's taking it and I had to go find somebody. But I got myself back in alignment. And somebody said, well, nobody's going to take it anyway. I don't know that. It's like protection, putting protection around you and around your family and your car. I got this bumper thing around my car to protect it. So that energy, how do you explain the movement of energy? And when you're dealing with it and you're maneuvering. So yes, so Vicki is a Reiki person who does Reiki, and for those of you who don't understand what it is, give us a definition of Reiki, and then talk a little bit about this energy movement.
I am actually the founder of Heart to Heart Healing, and I'm also a Reiki master teacher. And so when I learned Reiki, I thought it was great. It was a study of an alternative healing method using energy, the energy fields and the chakras, if you will, of the body. And then I began to study more with reconnective healing. And finally, I went to the developer and founder of Reconnective Healing, and I said, I'm having all of these energetic miracles happening. And he said, Vicki, I don't know what you're doing, call it something else. And so that's when Heart to Heart was born. They are similar, except that they're different frequencies, like different radio stations. Reiki to me is earthly based, so there is a good and a bad, and then the duality of the planetary influence happens with Reiki. With Heart to Heart, it's beyond that. It's outside of time and space, and I know that's kind of hard for people to hear.
Yeah.
However, this is the simple explanation. We're all made of energy. Everything in our body is energy. So if I have, let's say I had a problem with one of my organs, then there's a healthy frequency for that organ, and then there's an unhealthy frequency for that organ. And that's what happens with disease, is that the energy of our organs or our bodies gets out of whack. And so a modality like Heart to Heart will go in and make that well. And I've been practicing for 20 years, just at 20 years. And so I've seen amazing things happen. And it's my passion, if you can't tell that. I love it. I love sharing it with people, and I've seen it change so many lives.
Yes, and that's a wonderful thing, because being able to, what I want to say, go further than your teacher, right? Being able to go to the next level. I think that is really, the words won't come, but it's like, my teacher taught me this, and he taught me enough to be able to do better, to take more information from other locations or from the things that I've been doing, and being able to take it to a level that really helps people even more. And I think that is what you've done, is you've taken what you've learned and synthesized it, and I'll say got a download of information that made you be able to create this Heart to Heart.
It's really phenomenal. And you're right. I did get a download. I've gotten lots of downloads over the years. And I think I was just willing to participate with them, willing to dance with the angelic realms. And, talk about, I grew up as a Protestant here in the Metroplex. And so a lot of people look at me and go, how can you be that girl?
I was just getting ready to ask you that. It's like, how do you handle talking to people who view this whole thing as something that is not kosher, or not biblical, or not scriptural, or not, how do you deal with that? How do you handle it?
Well, my truth is this. I had a defining moment in one of those reconnective healing workshops. And I had struggled because Reiki was one step out of that box, that religious box for me. And this was my second step out. And I was so hesitant. I felt pulled to go to the workshop, and then I hesitated about doing it. And once I got there, I was with a friend, and she goes, I don't think I'm getting this. I said, oh, here, I'm going to climb on the massage table. We were working on massage tables. I said, you can work on me. And all of a sudden, somebody grabbed my left hand. And I'm a domestic violence survivor, so I was very conscious of who was in my proximity. Mm-hmm. And there was nobody there to grab my hand. Oh, but wow. I could see with my eyes closed, and I have yet to be able to explain that, except that I could see the room, and I looked over to my left where the gentleman was standing, and I looked at his feet, and there were sandals, dusty feet, and his sandals wrapped up around his legs. And then my eyes traveled up his body, and he had a robe on, and I looked into his eyes, and I knew him, and he knew me. And he said, Vicki, you are special, you are loved, you are in my care. And all I could do was cry. And by now, y'all know I like to talk, but I couldn't say a word. And my life from that moment shifted, because I don't know of any other benediction than to have the living word give me grace to move forward in my journey.
It's true. It's true. It's like when I was learning the one command, and I asked the question, how can I do this as a Christian? And Catherine gave me a scripture, and I said, okay. And then I started thinking about the fact that there's a lot of people like me who are afraid to move forward because they are, and guys, I'm sorry, but this is my word, captured within the religious realm of telling you these things are wrong. And the scriptures tell you, you will do things greater than I have. But why haven't we? Because we've been told we can't. And that's why I wound up writing Christianity, the Law of Attraction, and the One Command, because all of a sudden I got the download, write the book, right? Just like you got it. Yeah, I can step out to this and do it, because there is truth in the fact that we are powerful beings and great, and we've been given the capability of manifesting through our mouth, through our emotions, and through our mind. So
Absolutely.
we'll move forward to that. Now, getting to her story in the book. All right. And are we backwards? Yeah, we are backwards. I hate it when we're backwards.
Maybe sometimes when it produces it.
Yeah. Well, anyway, guys, it says manifestations. I'll have the link in the description. And so I'm going to have Vicki start reading it, and we may interrupt and stuff, but I want you to hear her story. And the key is that I want you to get the book, because this is just one of the stories, but she's going to leave you with not all the outcomes from her story, because we want you to read it and get the book. Okay, so you want to get started?
Very good. Thank you so much. Here we go. Manifest, then voila. According to Merriam-Webster, a manifestation is a public demonstration of power and purpose. Would you believe me if I said you are constantly manifesting? Well, it's so true. Look at what you're manifesting. What results do you see? And if you could track your desires, focus thoughts, words, expectations, and outcomes for 24 hours, what would you discover? And what are you creating? I am a creator. My hometown of Plano, Texas has grown considerably during my lifetime, and the changes make some areas unrecognizable to me. I remember that small town atmosphere, the feeling of knowing others and being known, a feeling of community, faith, and belonging. Fast forward to 2019. I live in Frisco, which neighbors Plano to the north, and is currently the fastest growing city in the nation. It is estimated over 1 million people have moved into this area as a result of the major corporations relocating in the last year. And although I work from home and am happily cocooned in my space, I occasionally venture out into the world with more cars, more people, and more traffic. I groused about the growing population, the perceived changes in diminishing Texas hospitality, and the extended time needed to travel to and from destinations. My grousing was concentrated, emotionally laden, and repeated often whenever I wanted to leave my house.
Okay, so that's one of the main things we want to talk about, is the fact it was concentrated, emotionally laden, and repeated often. I was unconsciously manifesting. So when, as I said, it's through your mouth, it's through your emotions, and through your mind. And you repeat it often. So many of our listeners have done affirmations and they say, it doesn't work. Well, you did the affirmations for a half a second and then you let it go. and you did the affirmations in the state of anxiousness, worry, you weren't in a relaxed state and you weren't feeling it as the way you wanted it to be. And unfortunately, you were feeling it because of all this. And folks, this place has just, I go to place and I go, a new building, 5 new hotels. I mean, it's just amazing what is going on here, but the traffic has gotten terrible. All right. So any other comment on that?
Well, I think that a lot of it had to do with every time I got ready to leave, I thought, oh, I'm going to have to fight the traffic. I'm going to have those discourteous drivers. And so it was kind of like, get the keys, go through the mantra of what I was feeling. So it became really unconscious, but it was repeated often enough and felt.
And
so
your subconscious, your subconscious said, okay, we're going to make this happen for you, right?
That's it. That is so true.
Okay, so within 1 month.
Within 1 month, the lessons showed up for me. These results of my manifestations. In the analogy of a pebble, rock, brick, and brick wall, the pebble came in the form of road construction. I was directed to drive through what seemed like at the time wet concrete on my black car, resulting in damage claim against the road construction company. And do you think that that was easy? It wasn't easy at all. I went through lots of hassles with them because they were a part of my manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
Within 2 weeks, the rock appeared as I received a speeding ticket, complete with a lecture from the officer, lights and sirens as if I was a potential flight risk. And then he thanked me for my courtesy because my domestic violence was from a Plano policeman, just like he was. And he was also quoting the law to me that later I found out wasn't even true. And he thought that I would react to him. And I learned a long time ago, I'm a former mayor, so I really respect the law. And he made all kinds of assumptions based on who I wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And so at the end, he even thanked me. I'm like, okay. So then less than a week later, I get stopped again. I received the brick and a warning from yet another policeman, and it had been years since I'd been stopped, much less ticketed. Then I received my brick wall lesson in an actual full circle moment. I was driving back from DFW Airport when the car in front of me sent a tire remnant in the shape of a complete circle, hurling 20 feet through the air, colliding with my front left bumper, causing over $5,000 in damage. I knew I had to stay in my lane, not swerving to the left to hit a vehicle in the next lane or the concrete wall to my right. The defensive driving course that I completed for the speeding ticket served me by keeping me calm and able to maneuver safely on the road. So even though I had manifested the ticket, it still blessed me by giving me some insight and being prepared for objects that were flying.
Because it made you had to take the defensive driving course.
I had finished it the day before.
Hold on. I have. Okay, shut up. I have Google Voice.
Oh,
and I don't know how to shut it off on the computer. The phone, it rings to my phone, but when I'm on the computer, it also rings. So,
hey, no worries.
And no words. Okay. So we were talking about the fact about you were blessed. Okay.
I was blessed.
Mm-hmm, you were blessed because you had to take that defensive driving course, and it saved you here because you could have swerved into another lane, hit a car, or did more damage because there was a concrete wall, concrete divider. You were in the left lane.
I was actually in the right lane, which I always drive in the left lane. I'm a fast lane driver.
Okay.
But this day I had somebody in the car with me. So I was driving very nicely in the right lane. And lo and behold, it was on 121. So I was right there by the colony, actually.
Yeah, I remember all that construction.
All that road construction. And so it was kind of interesting because right after that, the light bulb came on.
Okay.
Now there was a lot of people get hit by those if it had come through my windshield.
Oh yeah.
I wouldn't be here.
Right.
So there was a blessing in that too.
Mm-hmm.
Every manifestation that I had left me a blessing as well, which I think sometimes we don't see that either.
Yeah, we don't pay attention to the fact that it could be teaching us a lesson. Mm-hmm. And so one of the things, and I don't know if you do this, one of the things I learn is when something happens, I go, what is the lesson in this? What am I supposed to learn? What am I supposed to change and move forward?
Well, my light bulb, when the light bulb came on, I realized I had manifested every single incident. Every obstacle I encountered was a result of my deliberate focus, desires, expectations, and actions. I had unwittingly created conflict with my community, the roads, safety, and my environment. And our power to manifest can be either conscious or unconscious. But when we have that kind of power, shouldn't we be fully aware of what we bring into reality? So my takeaway from that was I need to be spreading more love. One of the other things that those people coming to our area, they love Texas. Mm-hmm. They come here, they visit, they don't want to leave. I know I met a girl last week at a networking meeting and she goes, I'm not from here, but I got back as soon as I could after I vacationed here. And when you have that much excitement, what is it to me to keep them from coming here, following their life purpose and their path?
You must met the same girl I did, or a different one, because, well, it's probably a different one, but she came here to visit a friend. She went back home and planned her move to Texas. She had to sell her house. She sold, she got her house sold. She quit her job. I said, you what? You know, she said, I said, did you get a transfer? No. Did you have a job when you got here? No, I knew I would get a job here. And and I've met more and more people who weren't transferred here, but said, oh, and sometimes his family is here, or my brother moved here and told me how great it was.
Yeah.
So loving these people because love this place.
Well, they're part of our global family. Mm-hmm. So when I shifted my perspective, it was a lot easier to realize I needed to make peace with the people on the road. I needed to make peace with the road itself, the construction. I needed to make peace with the fact that I love living here. Why wouldn't anybody else love living here? And, you know, I just needed to turn my manifestation around. So the funny thing, and I'm not sure I said this in the book, but this is the what I'll share with you, is that the very next morning after I had my aha moment, I woke up and my friend and I went to the grocery store. In that 2-mile span, we encountered 7 police cars.
Wow.
7. Now, I'm going to tell you that
2 miles?
That's a lot of police.
That's a lot of police.
And there wasn't anything happening. They were just there. You know,
was it the end of the month?
No. And I was observing all the laws. But it was funny because we would just drive another few feet and there would be another one. And then I think it was signs and wonders. I always look for signs and wonders. And
how many police cars did you hear?
7.
Yeah.
And so then we pulled into the grocery store. We're behind the fire truck, the first responders that help people when they're in trouble. So all of a sudden, they seem to be my friends and not my enemies in the city. So I thought, okay, I really did get that lesson. Let's be more loving. And, you know, I've traveled all 50 states. I have been treated so well in all of them. And it's my turn to, you know, if there's missing Texas hospitality, it was with me. So I have had a more concerted effort to show that Texas hospitality to people that are moving here, people that live here, people that I encounter wherever I am. You know, that helps our realization of being one. You know, it doesn't matter where we're from. It matters where we are right here, right now.
Absolutely. The whole idea, and that's why I brought up how many policemen, because that magic number of 7 is a completion number for you. That and as you recognize, they were there to serve and protect. And then you know, with the fire truck, all of that to me was a sign that, okay, your whole perspective has changed. They're my friends. They're there to help, and they're to protect all of us on the street and on the road, and doing that kind of thing. So I think that was fantastic. And that's what you go on to talk about in your story, about living your conscious truth, and the fact that you're here to love the people who move here, which is wonderful. So you go on in there, and we've talked about, you know, traveling the 50 states, and, you know, not extending the courtesy that you have given to other people, but you were having that feeling of all these people moving in. It's getting tighter and tighter. And so, but now you opened up your heart, you've opened up your mind, you've opened up the concept that the more open I am, the more love that I give out, the more love that's going to return back to me. So the idea that what we give out, we're going to come back and have it. So we know that we've talked about the fact that it's emotion, it's the words, and it's thought. But in her story, she gives you the manifestation formula, and it's very simple, but you're going to have to read the book to get it. All right. So I enjoy that, but the key is my audience have gotten to know you a little bit. So what is it that you do? You've talked about heart to heart, and that you've got a thing here called calming kids. What is that? Because I mean, our kids are having trouble and being bullied, and all the things that's going on in the world today. What does your program do?
The Calming Kids program is a subset of the Heart to Heart. I teach people Heart to Heart, and I teach people Calming Kids. Calming Kids is a quick, powerful, easy way to change the energy in schools, and for both students and teachers. It's easy and it's fun for kids. It's in its infancy. It hasn't been promoted like I would like to see it, but I do have what I call a pilot program currently in place with substitute teachers. You know, substitutes come into schools and they have such difficulty because they have to take over, and everybody knows they're not real teachers, so to speak, but they are excellent teachers. Yes. And so I have stories where, particularly in the learning disabled people that are in these classrooms, they need some help. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm having to turn my battery on. I'm so sorry. They come into the classroom and they have special needs. And so, you know how you're in a room and somebody comes in, like in Peanuts, Pigpen had his little storm all around him, and when he walked into the room, everybody felt the storm. And you know, typically what happens when somebody comes in and they're in an angry mood, you change the energy in the room. and
Mm-hmm.
other people find it easier to become angry. This is the opposite of that. This is where you provide them an opportunity to feel love and put more love out into the classroom so that it dispels, because it's more powerful than anger. It's more powerful than these other emotions. And suddenly the room is back to a place of loving laughter. And so I'm hopeful that that program can have more mileage and that it can show people how easy it is that we are powerful individuals, whether we're 4 years old, 10 years old, or 24 or 44 and on up, but that we have the power to change our environment, just like I had the power to change and manifest a new environment for me out in the world where we live every day, every minute.
Fantastic. That I think that's really needed. There's so many programs now out that trying to teach kids how to calm themselves. So I think that's a really good idea. We'll talk about that more off camera, guys. Sorry. Anyway, so what book are you reading now?
I'm reading Daring Greatly by Dr. Brene Brown. One of the things that I love about her work is that the very first one I picked up from her was Braving the Wilderness. And what I was amazed at, and I think we're all connected, but what I was amazed at, she started writing things that I had discovered in my heart-to-heart work all these years.
Okay.
And so it was almost like she wrote the textbook that would match what I had what I had lived. And I thought, how cool is this? This is a college professor who's changing her world by showing up and talking about things we don't want to talk about: shame, vulnerability, being real out in the world. And so I find myself reading all of her books now. And so this one, Daring Greatly, is about, overcoming the fear and showing people who you really are.
Fantastic. So I know you've written some books on your own. Yes. So tell me about the very first book you wrote and why you wrote it.
Easy question. The very first book I wrote was Heart to Heart Connections, Miracles All Around Us. And I got the edict to write the book, just like you did.
Mm-hmm.
I was an avid note taker. And so unlike a lot of people who get into healing work, I have a scientist in me. And so every time I did a healing, I did a question and answer after the session. So I gathered data. I had sessions that had information in them, both medically and spiritually, and I collated that. And finally, I was told in one of the messages, write the book, Vicki, write the book.
Yeah, I
and
know
I'm
that
like,
one.
okay. So I went to a friend's house at Cedar Creek Lake in September for for Labor Day. I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I had all these words in my head. And I reached for my journal and I wrote them all down. And I thought, this is crazy. Go back to bed. So I went back to bed at 7 o'clock in the morning and 9 o'clock in the morning. Same thing. I had written 30 pages.
Wow.
So I said to my friend, I got to go home and write this book. So from September to January 31st, actually it was February 1st, the final chapter was added the day the Challenger fell out of the sky, the shuttle.
Oh.
And I was in Crandall, Texas at that time, and it shook my house. And I thought, that's kind of a punctuation on the finishing of this book.
Mm-hmm.
And the final story that's in it happened that day. I thought I was finished with it. And then I realized, no, this story had to be in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's I took a little longer. I had a whole bunch more nudges before I could get to that. All right, so if there's one or two or even three things you would like my audience to know, what would they be?
I think that every individual is immensely loved unconditionally by Source, God, whatever you hold dear in that space, that we forget that our world wouldn't be the same without each and every individual in it. and that we show up as love. We walk the planet, and God sees through our eyes, God sees through our hearts, and that we have that ability to look beyond the human and see the divine in others. And that
And,
allows us to see it in ourselves.
and if more and more of us would do that, things would change.
Absolutely.
We have the capability of changing the narrative. We have the capability to bring love into the world and to diminish the amount of hate that's being spewed upon us these days.
Absolutely.
So we have that capability. Would you tell my audience how to get in touch with you and anything else that you'd like them to know before we wrap up?
Well, I will say that I do teach people heart to heart, and heart to heart has, when you learn heart to heart, suddenly I had a life coaching program that was Empower Dreams. I actually am a conglomerate because I have a whole lot of different things, and they've all grown from spirit going, look, there's a need for this, there's a need for that. I am a corporate training developer. That's what I did for a living for 30 years and still do it if there's a need in the marketplace for that. So my company, CE2O Inc., is a combination of the corporate stuff, the energy, enlightenment, and empowerment work I do. That's the E2, and the O is for opportunities to merge that. I got tired of being two different individuals, the corporate person and the energy person. And so I merged them all together, and that's who I am. I know that other people, some are ready to hear that, some are not. I'm okay with that. I can hold my own in any conversation I think about either of those topics. And so that they can reach me. I have Facebook pages for Empowered Dreams, for Heart or H2H programs, Heart to Heart Connections. There's one for Dr. Vicki L out there. They can look at the website. It's got the full view of the different things that I offer. It is www.heart, H-E-A-R-T, the number 2, heartconnections.us. And I think you can get there with ce20.us as well, but it might not be updated on the Google search engine just yet. So
I'll put the information down in that description.
Thank you so much.
Yes, and you said you were going to offer the listeners something special.
Let me see where my notes are for that.
Yes.
I think I have them. Maybe I didn't have those.
Well, I have them.
If you have them, I'm there. I got all prepared except for that. I'm so sorry.
All except for that. Okay. So anyway, we've got her first offer is to give you personal one-on-one consulting, and it's going to be specially priced with a discount. So she's going to give you a discount to do that. I'm not going to tell you the price, but it's really good. In fact, let's see. It's a discount of $75, actually, I believe. And it's for 45 minutes via Zoom, like we're doing, on the phone or in person. And it has a promotion code to it. And I'll put that in the description. It's BF Jones 2020. So just because you're listening to this, you get that. Her second one is a heart-to-heart healing session, specially priced, again, approximately $75 off for 45 minutes. And the wonderful thing about this is you can do it in person or distance. Remember that idea about energy. I can send energy from here to her to you, and so we don't have to be there. And that promotion code is BF Jones 2020 H2H. So I'll put all that information down in the description for you, and I'd encourage you to take advantage of that. So we're going to wrap this thing up today, and I want to thank you so much for being on the show, for reading to us from that. She is on page, let me find it, page 107 of the book. And I will be coming back with you with a lot more of these amazing authors that wrote in this book. Be sure to subscribe, hit the thumbs up button. You know, that thumbs up button says to Google, hey, people like this. So they'll share it more, and more people will get information that will help them manifest the life that they want. Again, this is Dr. Vicki. Dr. Vicki, hi. And this is Beverly Fells Jones, the Silver Fox of Consciousness, saying, I'll see you in the next video.
Thank you for listening today. Please share the link to this show with your friends and family so that they can learn how to be the best that they can be. Visit my website at commandingyourlife.com and follow me on Facebook. Have any suggestions for the show? Just contact me by emailing Beverly at commandingyourlife.com. Be sure to join me on the next episode. As you have believed, let it be done to you, and it is so.